trust. I'll wash my face and do the namas. I'm smelling in the flowers. I'm eating in, soothing up, then going out of my lovely house. This is it, the paradise. Yahoo, I'm waking up. I feel it in my heart enough to make my days godlike. Welcome to the green age, to the green age. Welcome to the green age, to the green age. La ilaha illahu, la ilaha illahu. Islamu active, Islamu active. La ilaha illahu, la ilaha illahu. Islamu active, Islamu active. All kingdoms go. Allah is Samad. Deep in my heart, straight from inside. As an Eastern from an Islamic country, I had constantly been influenced by the West to have the idea that they are the best as they are the most modern and outdated. And with that, there wasn't much left for any confidence over my origin, religion, and culture. And so I tried to cover them by as much as I can get Western. Like, I made myself as obsessed as possible with their language, with their movies and series, music, people, etc. As a big example, instead of just saying a Muslim I am, I prefer to use a word like agnostic. And even though I knew the saying that the grass is always greener on the other side, but hearing something is never like experiencing that in person. So finally, in this very exact day, a couple of years ago, I flew from the east to the west to see that. First days and months were pretty like a honeymoon, supporting my older imagination. But as the environment got usual, a deeper consideration started to happen. Like simply thinking about their symbols and what they mean. First of all, my own university one. An overall look of a shield, including a book, a sun behind, and a triangle more behind. And with that said, I must mention that seeing that triangle is not that easy. But if you look at the older version of our university logo, you can see these elements even better. Like you can see there are even two triangles, two suns, and even there is more explanation with the armor suit in the form of the pawn of a bishop. Let's now check other famous university in the city as well. You can see the shield again with triangles, now repeated 3 times with 3 birds facing west, and a couple of Latin words. Now let's check other provinces as well. Again, the shield, 3 objects facing west, with the triangle now like a stand this time. Other university, more west, 3 objects, the shield and the stand. And maybe if we go further kilometers, there's gonna be a difference, but again, in the west, the shield, 3 object thing, repeating with Latin words. Now let's go a bit south to the first university of the continent. Again, you can see the shield, 3 books and Latin words. I thought these are English spoken countries. Look at this blue one. This literally reminds us of the older logo that we reviewed. I mean, the designer even didn't spend any thinking over this, just designing the same thing again. And last but not least, the university founded by the founding leader father of their government. Again, the shield, 3 objects, an animal beside books facing the west, and the stand now with 3 holes. Interesting. This pattern even got more interesting when I gone to a store that could have literally any connection to a triangle. A tire store. I mean, I'm not a graphic designer, but it's a big deal connecting a triangle to a circle. I mean, the only connection would be a compass, turning around, drawing a circle, which makes sense to the older logos that I reviewed. And I had this strange pattern on my mind now everywhere I go, to reconsider the older symbols and flags that I had seen. And that is correct, because I can see in their flag that there are 3 crowns hidden wise, and more hidden wise there are the triangles repeated 3 times in each crown. Another flag, there is the 13 lines claiming to be the 13 initial states. Duh, but maybe something else as well, huh? 1, 3. And boom, the pyramid on the $1 bill, which is the Great Seal of their country, with a scary weird eye upon it, claiming to be the eye of God. Maybe not, who knows? So what is this repeating pattern present everywhere I have no idea about? So firstly, I try to guess. Like number 3 could reference Mr. Tesla's obsession with that number, as he tends to turn around buildings that he wanted to enter for 3 times. Or maybe something more traditional, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit thing. And I also tried to do some research on the internet to see the official explanations, but they did not satisfy me either. They seemed like just an explanation to recover something else hidden wise in the background. Finally, having this question and symbols on my mind, one day when I was wandering around my university, I came across a strange building shaped like a castle or church. I couldn't know, and I couldn't understand the big title on the top because back then I wasn't that familiar with this kind of things. So I got closer to find out, and boom, I found another triangular logo there with a more familiar name, because back then in my own country I had heard of and from a famous media activist who introduced these as an underground influential union in the modern era of the West, and worse than that, he was calling them the government of Satan. Back then, I hadn't taken his words as serious because, as people, mostly the youth, were calling these kind of people conspiracy theories. But wait a second, all of this can't be conspiracy. I mean, if something happens once, then okay. But when it's twice, thrice, everywhere on the flag, universities and stores, that is not conspiracy. Again and again, everywhere, there must be something. So panically, I went home, Google, to read that this goes back to European medieval stone mason's guilds, which represents a compass and a square. So, is this the triangles? But what is the relation of construction with university and government? I can't live with this suspicious stream of triangular symbols and questions. I must find out. I thought I knew everything about the West, following their people, music, TV series and movies, people. A place where everything is new and crystal clear, but it seems. So I went to a bookstore and got this. 600 pages in 2 seasons in 25 chapters. And the first season was about the Knight Templar, so I thought that maybe that's not necessary to read so I jumped into the second season, which was about Masons, that I wanted to know. But it was referencing too much about people and events, so that was when I thought that's necessary to read the first season. So I started from the beginning. The story starts from Europe, not like the Masons in 500 years, but 1,000 years ago, where Europe was governed by kings under church supervision, who was leading a group of soldiers called the Knights Templars, with their famous big cross armor suits and shields. This group of soldiers were mainly established 1,000 years ago due to the Crusade wars, as Muslims conquered the lands around Arabia, including the Holy Land, which is the place that I understand how this place has been so important for different people. Before that, I didn't know why the Muslims and the Jewish are fighting over it. I was like, what's that important about this place? Just go and live somewhere else. But so that's the point, that this place enters the game. After 100 or 200 years that this army could not beat Muslims to take back the governance of the Holy Land, and during that they were getting accused of bad deeds against the church, like saying bad words about Jesus, being even gay, etc. They got cancelled by the Pope officially. And worse than that, prison, torture, and even burning at stakes started to happen for these people. So what they did was to try to live as hidden as possible, according to some knowledge that they had during their great time in the past, when they were powerful and rich in all over the Europe. They also learned to be hidden sometimes. So they took this feature super serious and started to build up a kind of new union, or maybe a religion. What kind of religion? So this is really interesting to know, because there are 5 main prophets in the world so far. Number 1, Nuh. Number 2, Abraham. Number 3, Moses. 4, Jesus. And 5, Muhammad. But what they did was like, they got together with kind of like, that's my guess, I think, with the Jewish, because Jewish were not happy with the church government, as well as they blame the Jewish for all the problems that they had. So between Moses and Jesus, they selected another prophet called Solomon, or Suleiman, and called him the first Mason, as he built the first temple on the Mount Temple in Holy Land. And also he had lots of soldiers, including genies as well, which is mentioned in our holy book Quran as well. England was the safest place for them to hide, as long as the church was ruling over the Europe. This island right on the west, it was the safest place to stay. And by time, other groups also felt the same need to be hidden, like the scientists. The earth is turning around the sun, or vice versa thing, as you know.
Such assemblies are off limits
So
to the outside
they
world.
even developed this new union or religion with the help of, I don't know if you can call it help, because it was kind of an obligation, and
Worldwide, there
maybe
are
they
5
kind of
million
abused the
Freemasons.
scientists
In some countries
to
where the society is banned,
do that. But
members
as long
risk
as
their
the
lives
science
when they
versus
meet.
religion
What
conflict
kind of people are these Freemasons?
was
Who operate in secret
alive,
and who have
and
always been persecuted? What sort
by
of
time the
knowledge do they
church
take into
power
their lodges?
becomes faded away,
And why is the outside world
so
kept in the dark
finally
about the organization?
they got dominant enough after centuries so that they could even make a new country with all the symbols and numbers around, but still they kept their hidden characteristic. But wait a second, I thought that the West is so new, being relieved from any religion, but this is not new. Building a fake religion going back to 1,000 years before Christ. And even worse is that they kind of ditched the God and the real prophets to make a fake religion to get back their power with abusing scientists in the meantime.
Meanwhile, in parallel to this story, in my religion, no scientist was even punished, but even praised after my religion, Islam, started in the East against what happened in the West. And although West has continued the scientific path, but lost the biggest aspect of life, which is what's the final point of living on earth if you ignore real religions and make a fake union to just escape from these stupid Christian leaders. But in the end, where to? Why didn't they just try the newest religion, which has never burned anyone for telling the truth? As actually on my undergraduate degree, it is written that Allah would praise those with science and faith. The newest religion, Islam, helped lots of scientists and poets like Rumi, whose name is not Rumi but Maulana, who Westerns really love his poem. So if the West is this much in the past, and when I said past, West, I thought only for 500 years, but now that I see that they gone back to not 1,000 but even more, 3,000 back to a prophet claimed to be the first Mason, Suleiman, with all the details I talked about. So we Muslims are actually newer, having the newest religion and prophet, a real one. So I must be proud, because new is always better.
New is always better.
And worse than West being in the past, it is not a clean past, but a mysterious, hidden outcast union who were laid off from the Western government mainly due to their inability to satisfy the reason they were established, which was getting back the Holy Land from Muslims, which I'm already familiar with from our side, but never consider from this side of the story
in the West, from the West. And so all this brings me to the conclusion that it doesn't matter if the grass is green or not green when it's fake. Therefore, finally, I can proudly say, a Muslim I am, and in fake God I don't trust.